Okay, hello everyone. I am going to start a talk here on the role of decentralized wallet infrastructure in the future of decentralized finance. So, as I get started here, I want to do a quick introduction. So my name is Michael Klein, and I'm a managing director in Accenture, focused on Web3 and blockchain technologies. I've been in the Linux Foundation Decentralized Trust and Hyperledger communities for the past 8 years, focused on how we bring these technologies to the Fortune 500. So I think this is an interesting point in time where we get to talk about the role of wallets and how they impact decentralized technologies. So, where we all are today. So, today, everyone in society has the opportunity to hold the things they own in their pockets or in their wallets. Right? In my wallet, I have my identity, I have my credit cards and my money, and I bring it all together in one place, and I can choose with whom I share it and for how long they can see it. And as we move into the digital world, we don't necessarily have the equivalent of the singular wallet where I get to put all of my money and my identity and my objects. What I hope to explain today is there's a lot of power when you're able to bring those things together in one place and how it unlocks new value for brands and enterprises. So today we have wallets that are all over the place. In the world of Web3, there are wallets for Ethereum. You might have a MetaMask wallet. You'll have a separate wallet for an Aptos, maybe a separate wallet for Cardano. These wallets are not compatible. You have to have multiple wallets in order to interact with these chains. And it doesn't just stop there. You have multiple wallets for your credit cards if you're using Apple Pay or Google Wallet or Android Wallet. You have other wallets out there for your identity. Maybe you have a mobile driver's license, or you have other types of credentials out there that are given to you in digital form, but they're locked in a singular way to access them. So what I want to talk about is, what if it was different? How would we design it differently if we were to design this in a way that focused more on the individual? What would we do? So first off, we'd want it to be personalized, right? We'd want it to be in control of the individual and allow that individual to control their data. Next, we'd want it to be interoperable. We'd want to make sure that whatever's held in that wallet can work with many different ledgers, payment rails, identity verifiers. We want to make sure that whatever's stored in that wallet can be used in many different places. And when we do that, we enable individuals to actually hold their verified data. This would all be verifiable information. And in doing so, we're able to reduce operational risks. So when organizations receive the data, they know it's valid. There's no question, it's cryptographically signed, and we know it's valid. And in doing so, we don't have to go do checks and balances with outside issuers. So what I want to talk about here is, what does this look like tomorrow, right? So if we start putting the user at the center instead of the payment rail or the ledger or the identity provider, and we start thinking about the individual who actually needs to interact with these things, we start thinking about things a bit differently. We focus on ownership, right? So we want the individual to be able to own their own assets and hold them. And it's not just ownership, but also agency, their ability to interact and share those things that are in their possession with others. That's what brings utility and actually drives value. The people who use these need to do so with trust and transparency. So we need to know that the data is valid, and it needs to be verifiable cryptographically across multiple issuers and verifiers, and those who may be receiving funds via these rails as well. And lastly, security and above, even beyond security, privacy in these interactions. We do not want, I personally do not want all my private payment information to be shared with the entire world, right? We need to make sure that when we own these things and we have agency over them, we also control the privacy and who gets to see them. Okay, so hopefully I've given some idea of wallets and their importance to go across multiple interactions of your identity, your money, and your objects. But why, I'm not the first person to talk about this, right? So why am I talking about it now? Well, right now there's some converging trends that are happening that are making this a reality for us today. First off, the prevalence of AI. So every organization out there is working on their AI strategy and agendas and very focused on how they're going to use AI to advance their corporate goals. But they need to do so on data that's verifiable. They need to have confidence in the data, and not just the data, but the AI models themselves, to know the data that they were trained on, and also the data, those models and how they're used to actually execute insights for organizations. So there's a need for verifiable AI. There's also a need for verified data to feed those AI models. So those two converging trends really need more and more verifiable data that is first-party data and not third-party resold data. Consumers are demanding this as well. This is a trend over multiple years. We've seen more data privacy regulations come around, but also consumers themselves are reporting the desire for trusted, for organizations to secure and prevent data breaches, right? That's effectively what they're saying. There's a lot of distrust in organizations that have had data breaches in the past, and effectively consumers are asking for more. And lastly, we're seeing an explosion of wallets. Now, a lot of the wallet traction is happening through Web3, we're seeing, but we're also seeing it happen a lot in mobile devices with Apple Pay and Android, as I mentioned before, and we're seeing it in the identity space as well. So, just to really bring this all together, when we think about our identity, our money, and our objects, what we're really thinking about is sort of these types of things all coming together. So imagine a world where you bring together your driver's license, maybe your health insurance records, your digital currency, and your access to maybe a hospital or an insurance provider. When we start to look at bringing these things together, we can enable cross-brand journeys for individuals and allow them to interact in new and different ways. Bringing this data together today, it's all stuck in separate corporate silos, and there's no way to truly aggregate these without enterprises collaborating. Doing this, we put the user at the center, and the user becomes the one connective thread to bring this all together. Okay, so we're here at Singapore FinTech Festival, right? I thought I'd bring in an example of how, just in the case of a DBP scenario, a common universal wallet could change the way we interact with these various ledgers and blockchains and payment rails. So for this example, it's a hypothetical example, but we'll get there. We're going to talk about a buy-side pension fund that wants to buy a bond from an insurance company. In this case, we're going to have a sell-side brokerage that is acting as the investment bank, facilitating this transaction. The two wallet holders here are the pension fund and the insurance company, and then we have the brokerage acting as the facilitator. Okay. So before I jump into the actual scenario, just to give you an idea of why this is important. Right now, tokenization in financial markets is is exploding, right? We can look around the booths here at the FinTech Festival, right? There's a lot of tokenized assets, digital currency in this conference, and we're seeing massive growth in tokenized bonds, digital cash, and all of these are demanding increased interoperability, right? We have these different silos where these assets exist. How do we actually exchange them and provide liquidity amongst these different chains? So, back to the scenario. First we're going to say the insurance company has the tokenized bonds, the pension has the stable coins, and these are not currently interoperable, right? They're on different payment rails, different blockchains, if you will, and they're unable to exchange assets. So the role of interoperability here is extremely important. We hear this all the time amongst the Fortune 500, right? Actually being able to move these assets in a real world scenario is very important. So this is what it looked like today. If we were to do a DBP scenario with the bond issuer and the pension fund. So because these are on separate blockchains for this instance, the buy side and the sell side, so the buy side and the sell side, each have to hold two wallets, one for each rail in which they're exchanging the asset. So on one side we have the bond issue, the bond trade, and the other side the stable coin. And the brokerage is acting as the orchestrator, ensuring that the DBP transaction settles, right? But notice each organization has to have multiple wallets in order to facilitate that trade, meaning each organization has to look at multiple screens to actually confirm delivery and payment. So if we had one common wallet infrastructure, just for DBP scenario, you can see the value. We condense this so the one wallet can actually work with multiple payment rails and simplifies that interaction. It also allows us to know immediately when it's settled versus having to jump between multiple systems and multiple rails. This should make a lot of sense of why we'd want to do this, because in the real world, there's not just one or two blockchains or payment rails that we actually need to settle across. There are many, right? And so this becomes an exponential problem across all the blockchains that you want to interact with. So when we move from this explosion of wallet infrastructure that our banks and corporate entities will need to maintain and move it to one, there's a lot of efficiencies to be gained. So just in this DBP scenario, having a common wallet infrastructure is very helpful. But what I want us to think a little bit more is, what if we moved it beyond just the assets? In this case, we had a bond and a stable coin that we're trading. What if we started to add additional types of credentials and tokenized assets into these wallets, into this common wallet infrastructure? Well, we can start to put identity in that same wallet. Well, now we have the ability to know who the buy side is, know who the sell side is, and actually be able to confirm that the delivery and payment occurred with the right organization without double checking. That allows us to discover new entities to trade with and actually increase more bookings. I'm going to skip around a little bit here. On the charity side, so imagine a charity wants to distribute aid to beneficiaries. If we had not just the aid, let's say a stable coin or some type of tokenized deposit, but we also had a KYC credential for those individuals who would be receiving the fund, and the rights to actually receive those funds. So some type of an eligibility credential sitting in that same wallet. This allows governments or commercial banks to distribute this aid with confidence that it's going to the right person. So just really trying to highlight the fact that it's not just a singular thing that we want in the wallet. It's when these wallets start to bring multiple tokenized assets and identity together in one place, we can create a lot more value and ensure that assets are traded in an appropriate manner. So, I want us to sort of land it when we have a common wallet, and we're really thinking about wallets as the next iteration of how all of us as consumers and individuals interact with the digital world. We'll start to see a lot more of all of our assets in one place, and this will facilitate new experiences for brands to offer to their customers. So we're going to have better products and services, reduced fraud, and through all this, not have to reconcile across multiple chains. We have one way to bring everything together and bring the user as the center. So thank you for the time. I'm happy to answer any questions if people would like. Otherwise, great talking to everyone.